Hi, and welcome to another December episode. It's a little bit different from my regular podcast because it's more chill. I'm just mostly showing you my progress on my current knits and yapping. Honestly, I would ask you to grab your knitting project or sewing project, whatever you're working on. Grab a drink if you want to. Also, please take a second to subscribe to this channel and like this video. It'll help me a lot, and I will be really happy to see you here again for my future videos. And let's get started. It is beautiful weather today, kind of like we're skipping Christmas altogether and going straight to spring. And unfortunately, I'm still working. I'm recording this now, but I still have a few tasks I need to do at work. So once I'm done, it's probably gonna get dark already. I originally wanted to use this quality, good lighting time to start going through my stash and show you what I have to work with, but I just found out that in about 20 minutes my boyfriend will have a really important work meeting, and since it's a studio we can't really close the door. And I have a hunch that his co-workers and boss will not really appreciate me yapping about my knitting in the background. So instead I decided to use these couple of minutes we got to show you the last skeins of my advent, which I finally opened. Like, I have a confession to make. I did open the last skeins without you just because I was mindful of your time. I realized that by now you've probably seen at least 4 clips of me opening the packaging, and it's the same for every skein. So I decided to skip all that and just go straight to the good stuff. This is the last skein I opened, another light kind of pink colorway, but this one has this sort of straw yellow streak in it, which is really cool. The extra skein, kind of the last skein, wasn't actually white, as I declared in my last video. It's almost kind of pistachio green if you look at it in the daylight colorway. I really like this. I especially like the fact that it's not white, because a lot of these minis have some kind of white in them, and I was thinking the other day that it's going to be really hard to pair them with a lighter base, like solid color, because you will not see the border of the color changing as clearly as you would if there wasn't any white in these. So I'm really excited about the fact that this provides enough contrast between the speckled minis and the solid color. So I am really happy with this advent. I'm just looking at it now and it just makes me giddy. It's so beautiful. Oh, one of them fell out. Actually, my favorite, I think, out of all of them fell out. This one has this deep rose color and at the same time also like a pistachio green streak, and it's, I don't know, reminds me of raspberry Haagen-Dazs with white chocolate. Maybe I just haven't had any Haagen-Dazs in a while. I don't know. Anyway, I still have about 0 ideas about what to make from these skeins. I did look through a couple of patterns, but nothing really grabbed my attention, to be honest. I kind of get why the Stella quilt and the Sweet Shop blanket are the most popular choices. Both are great patterns. I appreciate the fact that they're not striped, because, for example, I don't want anything striped. I don't really wear striped clothing, and I don't really like anything that looks kind of too scrappy. It's going to be a challenge, but the challenge I'll happily accept because I didn't really work with this many colors at the same time before, as you can probably guess from my color scheme. So it's going to be really interesting. And if you have any ideas or suggestions about what to make from these, please let me know in the comments. Please, any help is really appreciated. Any help I can get. Ira from Lucky Yarn did such a beautiful job with these. I'm super impressed with this advent, to be honest. Like, the more I talk to her, the more I'm just amazed at how much she loves what she's doing. She's just so particular about her dyeing process and the bases she chooses. She doesn't cut any corners, and I just really recommend her yarns. So if you do live in Ukraine or you're ready to get it shipped to you, you can message her on Instagram. It's not sponsored or anything. I paid for these myself. I'm just really happy to support her always because she is super talented. While I have you here and the lighting is not as poopy as it could have been, I wanted to also show you my progress on the Amy slipover. I have the back panel, or like half of the back panel, because it has ties on the sides. You don't really join the front and the back in the round, you just knit it flat. I'm really glad that I unraveled that first attempt. I really like it with an extra skein of mohair, and I also really like it with the sparkle. This metallic thread gets kind of washed out enough to leave just this really subtle glimmer. Maybe you can't really see it that well on camera, but in real life it looks festive without looking too kind of kitschy. I was afraid that I won't enjoy working with this black yarn in winter. I thought it was going to be miserable because, as I mentioned last time, the last sweater that I did in black mohair was really, really, really unpleasant and hard to work with. It literally was giving me migraines, so wasn't a fun experience. But this one is so mindless and so kind of effortless to knit that I'm not really having that issue. And another dark project is my waffle loop, which I really love and I want to finish it as soon as possible. I love it so much. I finished the first sleeve today. I am really tempted to start working on the body again instead of doing the second sleeve because it's not picked up yet and I just want to, do something I already started, something that has stitches. But no, because I am still afraid I'm gonna run out of yarn. This yarn is so tricky because I can't figure out if I have enough or not. For example, I kind of divided one of the balls to leave it just for the ribbing, just for the sleeve cuff ribbing. I divided it into small cakes of 30 grams of yarn and I ended up using just 10 on the cuff. Maybe it's too much yarn for the length I'm going for, maybe it's not enough. I have no idea, so that's why I'm doing the second sleeve, and only after I'm finished with the sleeve, I'll continue working on the body. It's probably gonna be a lot more cropped anyway, but I tried it on and I really, really love it, so I'm really excited. It's Thursday now, and I really hope I can get it blocking by like Sunday. I don't think there's any point in showing you the doily. I'm just working on it slowly and it looks kind of the same. So yeah, my boyfriend will have his meeting in about 2 minutes. I'll meet you later when I have something else to talk about. It is Friday evening and I'm all finished with work, which means that my vacation has officially begun. I couldn't be more excited. I'll be off until next Friday, and then after Friday I'll have 2 more days off because it's gonna be weekend. I think I'm gonna start my vacation with choosing my color scheme for the Polar Light sweater. I'm not planning to cast it on in the next couple of days for sure because I need to finish my waffle loop, but it's nice to kind of have a plan. I pulled out all of my loopy yarn and we're gonna choose the colors together. I also want to double check the meterage I will need and choose the sizing. So let's see, as far as I understand, this pattern already has positive ease included in the bust circumference. It indicates here for the sizes, and I usually go for about 15 to 20 centimeters. For example, this one has at least 20 centimeters, which is kind of how I prefer it. I like it to be a little bit oversized and slouchy. So I will probably need size medium, which is for 112 finished bust measurement. But now that I think about it, I'm not going to use 5.5mm needles for this as indicated in the pattern because I'm using different yarn. Let Lopi is a little bit thinner than the yarn they suggest, so I'm not actually sure. Maybe I'll do size 4. I do have a lot of meterage exactly because this yarn is a little bit longer, like you have 100 meters for 50 grams as opposed to 70 meters for this Fritix garn. Is that how you pronounce it? Probably not. I think I'm gonna be fine if I do size 4, so large. And I will need 11 balls of the main color, which means I'm probably gonna need a lot less, like 9 or 10. For the contrast colors, I will need 1 ball of each. Our main color is gonna be white because that's the one I have the most of. And we'll need to choose the contrasting colors. It actually has just 2 contrast colors in the pattern, and I'm not sure, maybe I'll do one of the motifs in a different yarn, so maybe I'll have 3 colors. Let me kind of lay out all of my Let Lopi yarn so I can see what we have to work with. Okay, so we have a slight change of plans, or actually a major change of plans. I thought about it overnight and also did a little poll on Instagram this morning. I think I won't be making the Polar Light sweater after all. The more I look at it, the more I realize that the colorwork motif is kind of too simple for me, too geometric. To be honest, I would also much rather knit something that is more accessible because this pattern is not accessible if you want to make a similar sweater after watching my videos. So we're saying goodbye to this one. You can have it. It's for you. We are going to be making another Luma sweater instead. I finished this one right before New Year's. I think the first time I wore it ever was on last New Year's Eve, so it's gonna be a nice callback, even though I'm not actually planning to really work on it until January. I still want to choose my color scheme and cast it on so it's ready to go when I'm finished with my other projects. I think that in my new Luma, I will keep the same modifications I made for this one because, as you may or may not know, I skipped a whole colorwork motif. Skipped it around here at the yoke. To be honest, the only thing I would change about this one is the fact that it's not oversized enough for me. This pattern originally has like about 8 centimeters of positive ease. And as I mentioned in the last clip, I like my sweaters to have more like 15 to 20 centimeters of positive ease. We do have a slight problem though, because this sweater has a bigger colorwork motif overall compared to the Polar Light. I will need a lot more meterage of my contrast colors. So maybe I'll have to order more Let Loppy for this. But this gets even more complicated because not all of the colors are still in stock in the only store here that sells Let Loppy. So we'll see. I'll still gonna use at least 3 contrast colors as opposed to only 2 in this version. So I have been browsing through finished objects on the Luma's pattern page on Ravelry, and I remember seeing one sweater which I really liked when I was knitting my first Luma last year. I will put the name of the maker and the picture of her finished sweater on the screen. She uses a lot of blue, and I do have these colors of blue Let Loppy left over from my F. Melly sweater. So I think I'm gonna take some inspiration from her version and use a combination of these 3 blue colors for all the flowery motifs, so this one and this one. And even though she uses, I think, a kind of a beigey straw color for all these leafy motifs, I think it's going to be obvious to use this green I have instead. And I am actually not sure yet if I'm going to include this beige I also have left over from my F. Melly sweater. Oh, wait a second. Oh, we were blessed. Thank you so much. Let's do the classic. Boop. Aww. You look amazing. This is gonna go into my whisker collection. Beautiful. I think my plan is going to be to use these blue colors. Of course, I want to use this richer blue for the main flower, but I'm actually not sure if I'm gonna have enough. I might see if they have more of this color in stock at my only local yarn store that sells Let Loppy. For the smaller flowery motifs, or maybe for these dots as well, I'm gonna use some kind of combination of these 2 colors. The practical side of me also wants to do all the ribbing in beige instead of white, just because of makeup, honestly, but I'm not sure if it's gonna look good, and also if I'll have enough of the oatmeal hazard to knit the ribbing. So at least we selected our colors for the yoke. However, I still can't really cast on this one because before I cast on, I need to know which color I'll be using for the ribbing here. Happy to report that I'm almost done with my waffle loop. I finished the second sleeve yesterday. Kind of looks a little bit short, but I'm pretty sure that the sleeves will stretch a lot after blocking. This texture is really forgiving, so I'm not really worried about that. And now I can just switch to adding the length on the body. I need to do a couple more rounds of ribbing. Then I can just switch to doing the Italian bind off and I'll be done. So I'm really happy about that. I can get it blocking tonight if I'm lucky. I definitely won at Yarn Chicken this time. I was able to add, I think, like 5 centimeters to the body after I was done with the sleeves. I also did a couple of short rows to make the back longer than the front, just for a better fit. It wasn't in the pattern, but that's something I usually do to my sweaters, so I'm just really excited to have this finished finally. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit raspy today. Someone, well, me, has to finally admit that I have a citrus allergy. I had some clementines yesterday. Well, not some, actually, a lot. And I woke up with a super sore throat, and also I feel really puffy and just shit in general. So yeah, maybe I should stop pretending that I don't have a citrus allergy. I know that holiday season doesn't feel as festive without the clementines, but it definitely feels even less festive when I'm feeling like I'm 12 again and I have strep. So yeah, I have to make some sacrifices. But anyway, I received a really interesting and well-timed gift knit request from a friend. she asked me to knit her a pair of fingerless mittens. And technically it's gonna be her Christmas gift, but since she told me that she wants them on Friday, last Friday, so like 5 days before Christmas, it's just not gonna happen. I had to order yarn because she wants them in black, and I don't have any suitable black yarn besides the yarn kind of marked up for my Amy sleepover, so I decided to order yarn for this project, and it took about 2 days to arrive, which seems quick, but again, if I want to finish it by Christmas, which I'm not gonna do, I'll have to knit it in like 48 hours, even less. But the good news is I did choose a really simple and really nice free pattern to knit the mittens from, and it's called Kiro mittens, or yeah, now that I think about it, it's probably Cairo as in hand, so not sure, Cairo or Kiro, but it's a really nice free pattern. It's mostly stockinette, so it should be really quick. It calls for a sock yarn or fingering with silk mohair, but I'm not gonna use either of those because I'm not really sure my friend will appreciate the feel of scratchy like mohair mittens. I'm not sure she wants them to be fluffy, so instead I went for something a lot more foolproof. I ordered this yarn, which is Yarna Iran. I'm not sure it's available outside Ukraine, but the concept is really simple. It's this super thin, almost like thread weight yarn. It's 100% merino, not superwash, so it's really silky and it's not gonna stretch out. It has 1400 meters in 100 grams, so again, it's super thin, but the trick is you can ply it into whatever weight you need. I kind of used a similar yarn for my Waffle loop sweater, but it was a cone yarn. For the Waffle loop, I wound it into a 10 ply, so 10 plies of this thin yarn. I'm not really sure how many plies of this I will need, but I think I'm just gonna wind it until I hit gauge. Hopefully it'll work. Very easy to kind of adjust it to the correct gauge, but the downside is that you do have to sit there and like wind it, and it's also really easy to get tangled. Nothing actually holds the plies together. It's just multiple strands in kind of the same braid, but they're not twisted in any way, so you have to be careful. But anyway, that's what I decided to use. I also didn't go for like a black, but this kind of graphite color instead, mostly because this was the last ball left in this colorway and it was on a major clearance. So I also have another plan, a really ambitious plan before Christmas. I want to make a Christmas bow out of this fabric, kind of similar shape to my December bow, which I knit, but I want to make it a lot bigger, a lot puffier and kind of squishier, and obviously it's going to be sewn instead of knitted. I'm going for the general shape of the December bow, and I have this thrifted piece of velvet or like velour that I picked up I think during the summer, specifically because I had a Christmas project for it in mind. And I want to thank Past Me from the bottom of my heart for this beautiful winter crafting project, because I have never worked with velour before. I have also never ever sewn knit fabric before, and in general I haven't sewn in like a month because I stopped going to my sewing classes, which is a story for another day. So yeah, I'm not really sure I'll be able to pull it off, but I'll try. I'll do my best because I do want to have a squishy velvet bow as decor somewhere. Maybe I'll put it somewhere here, because I have a ton of this fabric actually. Well, in terms of how much you need for a bow, I think I will kind of cut out a little piece and do not a mock-up, but test bow or like a test ribbon, just to see how this fabric behaves. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll work out. I don't know. But for now, my only objective is to finish my waffle loop, get it off my needles, get it blocking finally. Please have some clementines for me, because I am pretty sure that I'm not gonna have any ever again. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's one of the worst camera angles ever seen, but I wanted to set up the camera / my phone that way because I wanted to show you my waffle loop finished. By the way, waffle loop in front of the mirror. So you can kind of see the before shot, the fit of the sweater before blocking, because right now it looks really scrunched up and weirdly form-fitting. I think with blocking it's gonna relax a lot. The cables will open up really beautifully, and well, it's been a journey. I've been working on this sweater technically since the end of October, but if we're being really honest, I started it back in January and then abandoned it and had to frog my first attempt. So it's actually been almost a year since I wanted to knit this sweater. Now I finally have it finished. I won Yarn Chicken. Give me a second, I'm gonna show you how much yarn I have left. It's just ridiculous. This is all I have left after I finished my Italian bind off. It's crazy. I actually had to go back almost the whole round because I assumed that I will have enough for the Italian bind off, but I didn't. So yeah, I had to lose one extra round on my ribbing, and it's a little bit shorter than the ribbing on the sleeves, but I don't think anybody except me will notice that. So wow, that is so cool that you can actually see not only my
finished object, but some crafting adventures of my cat, who decided that our couch needed some improvement, and she destroyed, like absolutely ripped to shreds, one of the sides on the couch, and we had to fix it with a masking tape, which, as you can see, she still tries to kind of unpeel. So we have another crafter in the family, just kind of a fun fact for you. Another fun fact I have for you is about blocking. I have never ever used wool wash, and I'm actually not planning to. I don't think I'll ever be paying for wool wash as long as shampoo exists. I usually treat my knits as I would treat my hair. Well, especially they have wool in them, which they usually do. Both your hair and wool is a protein-based fiber, and it reacts to the shampoos in a similar way. I'm not claiming that it's like the most accurate way to handle your knits or like care for your knits and wash them, but that's kind of what I do. Like, I use my regular shampoo, and I also use like a conditioner or a hair mask. And sometimes if I need to kind of relax the wool and make it a lot less scratchy, I use this thing, which is not really a conditioner, but more of like a hair treatment to combat like frizziness and make the hair more like soft and silky. I'm gonna show you the bottle so you know what it looks like. I don't think I will be using that conditioner on this sweater because I don't actually need it to be any softer. It's soft as it is. I just need the cables to relax. But yeah, basically I haven't used any wool wash ever. I just use my regular shampoo, and I have been for a long time and never had any issues. Maybe you use a similar approach, let me know. I also don't have any blocking mats. It's not because I don't want to, I just don't have a place to store them in this studio apartment, so I'm kind of making do with a bedspread similar to the one on my bed right now, which I kind of demoted to a blocking mat, or maybe retired to a blocking mat. It works well if I need to block a sweater, like it's good enough for that, but if I need to pin something out on the blocking mat, it gives me a lot of trouble because usually I end up pinning it into the bed, and it's just such a hazard. Like, I don't recommend it. It's just something you have to kind of deal with if you live in a small apartment like me. Maybe someday I will get some proper blocking mats, or maybe not even proper blocking mats. I know that a lot of people use those playground mats. I'll insert a picture, you probably know what I mean. But yeah, now the problem is not even the budget, but just the fact that I don't have a place to store my blocking mats. This was such an enjoyable knit. I didn't film any of it because it just took me an evening and then a day after that. So I finished these yesterday, blocked them overnight, and now they're ready to be gifted to my friend. I really hope she likes them. I do really like how these came out. I ended up using 6 strands of this yarn held together, and the only small modification I made to the pattern when I was making them is that I changed my needle size for the ribbing from 3mm to 2.5, because I do like to use smaller size needles for the ribbing. And I'm also really surprised that I'm not matted this edge where the stockinette kind of curls up, which is usually something you want to avoid, but here it adds a really interesting kind of textured detail to the edge. It looks kind of like an I-cord, but at the same time it's adjustable, so you can kind of roll it more if you need kind of more flexibility. So I really like it. And as I said, I just hope she likes them too. I also finished the back panel for my Amy slipover, so maybe this evening I will pick up stitches for the front and start knitting the front, but I am actually not sure what to do. I have a couple of days left until this year is over, which is crazy, and I have 3 whips. So my whips are the Moby sweater, this Amy slipover, and my doily. And I'm thinking maybe I should switch my attention to my doily, because that's the only project I have at least a little bit of hope to finish before this year is over. I do want to clear my, let's say, knitting plate so I can be in a more kind of free headspace to start working on my new Luma sweater. So I'm not sure, maybe I will actually put the Amy slipover on pause for now and work on the doily. And also, unfortunately, I will have to put my bow project on pause for now. I do really want to make it, but I have to be realistic and I don't have the time to do it this weekend. I just don't. I need to try and be kinder to myself and to my time, because I do tend to pile up a lot of projects on myself and then be shocked that I don't have enough hours in a day to finish them all. So yeah, that's something I'll have to work on next year, and I think a lot of us will have to work on it more. I still want to make the bow, but I don't think it's going to be something I cover in this video, so probably I'm going to talk about it in the next podcast I record, so stay tuned for that. My waffle loop is pretty much dry, so I think today is going to be the first time I wear it out. Well, not really out. I'm going to the post office to pick up more letlopi that I ordered for the Luma sweater. And once I pick it up, I will tell you all about what I decided to do in terms of the colorways for the sweater. And we'll also do a little reveal of my waffle loop, so I'll see you then. It's perfect. I can't even begin to describe how pleased I am with this knit, honestly. Let me get on the couch so you can see it better. Huh? Can you see what I'm talking about? It's like, this is why I knit. I want all of my projects to come out this way. I think I can safely declare that this sweater, along with my Lopa Besa, are two of my favorite projects I knit this year. I'm just gonna get a ton of wear out of it, I know it. It's so basic, and at the same time it's such a statement piece because of all of this texture. I also really love this detail on the sleeves. They're not tapered as the sleeves usually are from the armpit until the cuff. Instead, it has you knit straight until you reach the elbow, and then you start this kind of dramatic decrease until you reach the cuff, and it's so beautiful. Also, it kind of fixes the issue I talked about, that if I sit down to knit in my sweaters for a long time, I end up having this really stretched out bit on the sleeves where the elbows are, so that kind of fixes it because it's sort of stretched out on its own. Also, I think it was a good decision to knit size 2 instead of size 1 as I originally intended when I knit my first attempt in January. It has just the perfect amount of positive ease, and it's just perfectly oversized, adjustable. Oh, it's perfect. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm in love with this sweater. I'm in love with the fit, with the texture, with the color. This was a challenging but really satisfying knit. I do really recommend the pattern. However, again, I should mention that it only has 3 sizes, so it's not really a size inclusive pattern. I'm gonna kill this cat. I'm gonna murder my cat. As soon as I hit record, she decided to start her excavations, so give me just a second. I swear to you, in the next couple of minutes, she will start meowing because the bathroom door is closed. Anyway, I have nothing, not a single bad thing to say about this project, so I think we can safely say that my last knit of 2024 was a complete success. And also, let me update you on my decisions regarding the Luma sweater, because I did pick up extra letlopi yesterday. I picked up one more ball of this white color, which is going to be my main color for the body. I also picked up this color, which is light beige heather, and I'm planning to use this for the ribbing on the sweater, mostly to prevent any makeup stains or any like grease stains on the neck and on the cuffs. So this is what I'm going to use, and let me show you how it looks in comparison to white. I had another beige color in my stash, but decided to go for something a little bit lighter just to have some contrast, but not too much. So like the beige doesn't stand out, because my main color scheme is going to be blue and green. So this is celery green, and I'm planning to use this for all of the leafy motifs. I decided not to pick up any extra dark blue for this sweater because I think I can just alternate these two colors. And for the smaller flowers and any dots on the pattern, I'm going to use this light blue. Look who decided to join us. Check out this paw. So now I'm happy to say that my color scheme is fully settled. I'm super excited to start, but I think I'm gonna start the sweater after January 1st because I do want to finish my doily, which I have been working on yesterday. I didn't continue working on the Amy slipover. I decided that, as I said, I will try and kind of speed run this doily until the end of the year, which I'm not sure is going to be possible. I did think of maybe stopping early and just binding off and doing the crochet edge as you usually do on doilies. But here's the thing, I usually knit doilies from the written chart as opposed to the chart where you can see the final design, because I like this element of surprise. I like to see the work and the details open up the more I work on the doily. So I kind of forgot what the finished design looks like. And when I looked at the design, I realized that if I stop now, I will lose a whole feathery motif that is kind of the focal point of the whole doily. So yeah, I need to continue working on it. I have about 20 lace rounds to go, which means I also have 20 rounds of just stockinette and like 300 or 400 stitches in total in each round, which is miserable, but at the same time I do really like to work on lace. Even though it's a smaller size needle, I still really like to work on doilies just because it's so relaxing to me. And speaking of doilies, I forgot to show you something I bought actually a month ago. A couple of months ago, I just accidentally and really luckily stumbled upon this book. I bought it, I think, for I don't know, like $5 because somebody didn't want it, didn't know what to do with it, and I know exactly what to do with it. It's a doily lace pattern book from the 50s, or no, from the 60s. It's 1964. It's just filled with beautiful and kind of classic doily motifs and charts, and actually really detailed and nice explanations for anybody who haven't knit this kind of intricate lace before. So let me just show you some of the examples. I hope you can see it well. It is such a treasure. I'm so glad I picked it up. It has some instructions at the beginning about how to knit the lace and do, for example, a double yarn over and how to pick up stitches from the double yarn over. It also has a detailed explanation about how to block the doilies. And the designs here are actually something I saw before many times online on different free resources. So I'm not really sure what is kind of the origin of these designs. At least we can tell that during the 60s it was already kind of available and established. And I'm pretty sure I knit this particular doily in 2023. So some designs I'm familiar with. I have to check, maybe it actually has the doily I'm knitting right now. Well, surprisingly enough, it does. This one is basically the same as the one I'm knitting. The beginning is the same, but then mine also has this long peacock motif. So really interesting. I would love to know more about kind of the history and the designers behind these doilies, but I guess we'll never know. And I think that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I will spend the next couple of days just finishing up my doily and relaxing at home. I wanted to take a moment to thank everybody who watched my videos and subscribed this year. I really appreciate every single one of you. 2024 hasn't been the best. I had a lot of issues with my health, both mentally and physically, so yeah, it's been really hard at times, and I'm really grateful to have my knitting and this little channel to kind of keep me distracted and focus on positive and inspiring things. Knitting is a way for me to express myself and also dress myself, so yeah, I'm super grateful that I have this more than a hobby in my life to always keep me company. I hope you had a really nice Christmas and that your 2024 has been filled with a lot of positive memories, a lot of inspiration, and probably a lot of knitting and crafting. I wish you all the best in 2025, and I will see you then. Bye! I hope you had a nice Christmas, and I also wanted to wish you all the best in 2024.